My beloved soul, listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal was never meant to be loud, it was never meant to be public, and it was never meant to be explained by people around you, yet tonight it is reaching you with undeniable weight, because a love prayer you whispered when no one was watching has already been answered in secret, and the sign you asked for is not coming later, it is unfolding now, quietly, gently, but with absolute certainty, and the reason this message feels different is because it is touching a place in you that only heaven knows exists. You prayed in moments when you were tired of explaining your heart, when your words felt too heavy to speak out loud, when your tears did not fall but stayed locked behind strength, and you wondered if God heard prayers that were not dramatic, not desperate, not shouted, but simply breathed, and heaven did hear you. What you did not realize was that your prayer was answered the moment you chose sincerity over control, the moment you said, I release this into your hands, without needing proof, without demanding timing, without asking for signs that would impress others, and because of that surrender, God chose secrecy, not delay. This love prayer was answered behind the scenes because it required protection, because your heart is delicate even when you pretend it is not, and because what is forming cannot survive noise yet. You have been noticing subtle shifts lately, a calm where anxiety used to live, a strange patience where urgency once ruled, an unexpected softening toward someone you thought you had already released, and these are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Heaven does not always announce its work with thunder, sometimes it speaks through stillness so deep that only a listening soul can recognize it. My beloved soul, the sign is not fireworks, it is alignment, it is the quiet rearranging of emotions, it is the way your heart no longer chases but waits without fear, and this is how you know the answer is real. You asked God to heal love, not just bring love, and that prayer required hidden work, because healing happens best where no one interferes. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because this message is not just reassurance, it is a mirror showing you what has already changed. The reason you no longer feel the same pain when you think of the past is because heaven removed the sting before removing the memory. The reason you no longer feel pressure to force connections is because what is meant for you is being guided, not pushed. You were protected from premature exposure, from conversations that would have drained your hope, from explanations that would have weakened your faith, and instead, God chose to strengthen you privately. This is why things seemed slow on the surface but intense inside you, because while nothing appeared to move, everything important was being adjusted at the root. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what you are sensing now is the sign you asked for when you said, God, if this prayer is heard, give me peace instead of proof, and peace is exactly what arrived. The love connected to your prayer is not rushed, it is ripened. It is learning patience, humility, and truth in places you cannot see yet, and that is why you were told to wait without explanation. Heaven is working on both sides of the connection, not just circumstances, but readiness, not just opportunity, but integrity, and that kind of work must remain hidden until it is stable. You may have wondered why distractions were removed, why certain people faded, why silence grew louder. But this was divine focus, not loss. God closed doors quietly so your heart would not cling to what was never aligned with your future, and in that silence, your true desire became clear, not desperate love, not temporary attention, but safe, mutual, peaceful love. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because the sign continues through your awareness, through the way you are suddenly more honest with yourself, through the way you no longer negotiate your worth for affection. This is the result of an answered prayer, not a coincidence of growth. The reason this love prayer was answered in secret is because the outcome requires emotional maturity, not excitement, discernment, not fantasy, and patience, not pressure. God is teaching you how to recognize love that does not trigger fear, how to receive affection without anxiety, how to trust without losing yourself, and these lessons cannot be taught publicly. My beloved soul, you are not waiting anymore, you are being prepared to receive without chaos, and that is the greatest sign of all. The longing you once carried has transformed into readiness, and readiness is louder in heaven than longing ever was. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because this message is sealing what has already been approved above. The sign is that you are no longer asking the same questions, you are no longer begging for clarity, you are no longer afraid of the answer, and that shift did not come from you alone. God has already whispered to the heart involved, already aligned timing, already removed resistance, already softened fear, and you were kept unaware so you would not interfere with doubt. Trust this quiet unfolding, trust this sacred patience, trust the peace that guards you now, because when love arrives after being healed in secret, it does not shake your world, it stabilizes it, and that is how you will know, without needing anyone to confirm it, that your prayer was never ignored, it was honored with care. My beloved soul, what happened after that prayer was answered is something you could not have predicted, because heaven did not rush toward visible change, it moved inward first, touching layers you did not even know were holding old fear, old patterns, and quiet disbelief, and this is why the shift felt confusing before it felt comforting. You may have noticed moments where your heart felt unusually still, not numb, not guarded, but settled, as if it no longer needed to scan for danger in love, and that stillness was not emptiness, it was healing taking root. God does not rebuild love by replacing faces immediately, He restores foundations so the next connection does not collapse under unspoken wounds, and that restoration began the moment your prayer reached the throne. You asked for love that would not cost you your peace, and heaven took that request seriously, so seriously that it began dissolving habits of overthinking, overgiving, and self-abandonment that once felt normal to you. This is why certain emotional reactions no longer rise the way they used to, why triggers lose their grip faster, why you find yourself responding with wisdom instead of impulse, because your heart is being trained for safety, not survival. Stay present with me, because this quiet transformation is the sign continuing to reveal itself, not through spectacle, but through your growing ability to remain centered even when uncertainty appears. The secret answer to your love prayer is unfolding as emotional maturity, discernment, and self-respect, and these are the qualities that protect divine connections from unnecessary damage. You are not becoming colder, you are becoming clearer, and clarity is what allows love to breathe without fear. My beloved soul, you may have wondered why communication around you feels slower, why timing seems stretched, why answers are delayed, but this delay is not distance, it is refinement. Heaven is teaching patience to the heart involved, removing the urge to rush, to prove, to possess, because love that is rushed often arrives incomplete. The prayer you offered asked for something lasting, and lasting. Things are built carefully, layer by layer, unseen by crowds. There is a reason God did not allow you to know every detail, because knowledge before readiness can create pressure, and pressure fractures what is still forming. You are being protected from anxiety disguised as anticipation, from expectations that would drain joy before it arrives. Do not skip this moment, my beloved soul, because the way you are learning to trust without constant reassurance is evidence of divine involvement. Your spirit is being taught how to wait without fear, how to hope without attachment, how to remain open without losing boundaries, and these lessons are shaping the love that is approaching. The connection tied to your prayer is being prepared with equal care, with emotional honesty, with accountability, with the courage to show up fully rather than halfway, and this preparation requires silence. God often answers love prayers by aligning character before aligning paths, because paths cross easily, but hearts must be ready to stay. This is why you were gently pulled away from patterns that once felt familiar but left you empty, why excuses no longer satisfy you, why half-effort no longer feels acceptable, because your heart now recognizes its own worth. Heaven does not waste answered prayers on unprepared vessels, and you are being shaped into someone who can receive love without shrinking or chasing. Stay with me till the end. Something subtle yet powerful is being revealed, because the sign is also found in how your intuition has sharpened, how discernment replaces doubt, how silence no longer scares you. You can sense when something is aligned and when it is not, without needing explanations, and that awareness is a gift born from an answered prayer. My beloved soul, you are no longer negotiating with loneliness, you are no longer filling space just to avoid emptiness, because emptiness has been healed at its source. God met you in the place where you once questioned your desirability, your timing, your worthiness, and replaced those questions with quiet confidence. That confidence does not shout, it does not seek validation, it simply knows, and knowing is dangerous to fear. This is why you feel less reactive, less defensive, less afraid of being misunderstood, because your identity in love is no longer fragile. The prayer was answered by strengthening your inner world so the outer world does not control your peace. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because the sign also appears in how resistance is dissolving around you. Doors you did not push are loosening, conversations you did not initiate are approaching, emotional walls you did not attack are softening, and this movement is not accidental. God works gently when love is involved, because force creates fear, and fear suffocates intimacy. What is being drawn toward you is learning how to approach without ego, without games, without manipulation, because heaven has removed the appetite for confusion on both sides. You asked for clarity, and clarity is being cultivated slowly so it can be sustained. My beloved soul, the patience you are developing is not passive, it is active trust, the kind that rests while believing, the kind that allows timing to unfold without interference. This trust is rare, and it is why your prayer was handled with such care. The love forming does not require performance, it does not demand constant proof, it does not thrive on anxiety, it grows in safety, and safety must be learned. You are learning it now. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what heaven is preparing is not just an encounter, it is an experience that feels familiar yet new, gentle yet profound, peaceful yet alive. The sign you are receiving is that you are becoming someone who can recognize that kind of love without mistaking chaos for chemistry. When the answer steps into visibility, it will not shock your system, it will confirm what your spirit already knows, and you will understand why secrecy was necessary, why silence was sacred, why waiting was protection. Your prayer was answered in secret so the outcome could arrive whole, unbroken, and ready to stay. My beloved soul, there is a deeper layer to what has been unfolding that you are only now beginning to sense, because when a love prayer is answered in secret, the evidence does not appear outside first, it awakens perception within you, altering how you interpret silence, how you read energy, how you respond to absence without assuming rejection. You may have felt moments recently where your heart recognized something before your mind could explain it, a subtle knowing that did not rely on messages, signs, or reassurance, and this knowing is not imagination, it is spiritual attunement. God sharpens awareness when He prepares a soul for meaningful love, because awareness prevents attachment to illusions. You are learning how to feel truth without chasing clarity, how to sense alignment without demanding confirmation, and this shift is essential because the connection tied to your prayer is meant to meet you at the level of honesty, not fantasy. Heaven is teaching you how to recognize sincerity through consistency, not words, through presence, not promises, through peace, not intensity. This is why loud gestures no longer impress you, why emotional extremes feel exhausting, why subtle stability feels attractive, because your inner compass has been recalibrated. Do not skip this moment, my beloved soul, because the sign continues to unfold through your evolving discernment. What once confused you now feels obvious, what once felt exciting now feels unstable, what once felt distant now feels familiar, and these changes are not random. God is aligning your desires with what will sustain you, not what will drain you. The prayer you offered asked for love that would feel safe to grow into, and safety requires maturity, patience, and emotional presence, qualities that cannot be rushed into existence. Heaven is shaping your expectations so you no longer mistake longing for love, availability for commitment, attention for devotion. You are being taught to wait for what arrives with clarity rather than chaos. My beloved soul, this season of quiet observation is sacred, because it allows you to see without interference, to listen without reacting, to feel without forcing interpretation. God often places His children in stillness before revealing what is next, because stillness sharpens vision. You may notice that your reactions have slowed, that you pause before responding, that you reflect before assuming, and this is not hesitation, it is wisdom emerging. The answer to your prayer is developing as emotional intelligence, as self-trust, as the ability to stand steady without needing external validation. This growth ensures that when love approaches, you will not lose yourself in it, you will meet it as an equal. Stay with me till the end, something profound is being unveiled, because the sign is also present in how your boundaries are strengthening without becoming walls. You no longer feel guilty for protecting your peace, you no longer explain your needs excessively, you no longer accept inconsistency as normal. These boundaries are not barriers, they are invitations for the right energy to enter and the wrong energy to leave. God is teaching you how to remain open without being vulnerable to harm, how to love without abandoning yourself, how to wait without resentment. The love forming around you is learning similar lessons, learning accountability, learning emotional responsibility, learning how to show up fully rather than partially. Heaven is synchronizing growth, not rushing meetings. My beloved soul, you may feel moments of longing still arise, but notice how they no longer feel desperate, how they pass without consuming you, how hope exists without urgency. This is a sign that your heart is no longer operating from fear of loss, but from confidence in divine timing. Fear demanded immediacy, trust allows patience. God removed the fear quietly so you would not cling to outcomes prematurely. This is why you feel strangely calm even when nothing seems to be happening, because your spirit knows that something is already in motion. Do not leave yet. Heaven has more to reveal, because the sign also manifests in your dreams, in fleeting thoughts, in gentle reminders that feel comforting rather than overwhelming. These impressions are not instructions to act, they are confirmations to remain present. God communicates through subtlety when He wants to preserve peace. You are being guided not to chase, not to wait anxiously, but to live fully while trusting that alignment is unfolding. This balance is rare, and it is the result of divine intervention. My beloved soul, the secrecy surrounding this answered prayer is also teaching you humility, because what is precious does not need announcement, what is sacred does not need audience. Heaven is training you to protect what is forming, to guard your heart without closing it, to share selectively, to trust inwardly. This discretion is not isolation, it is wisdom. When love is built in secret, it arrives without interference, without comparison, without pressure, and it remains rooted. You are learning how to honor timing without questioning worth, how to rest without assuming abandonment, how to hope without clinging. These lessons are shaping you into someone who can sustain intimacy without fear. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what is being prepared is not an event, it is a union of readiness, a meeting of healed spaces, a connection that does not require proving. When the sign becomes visible, it will feel natural, not dramatic, peaceful, not consuming, affirming, not confusing. You will recognize it because it will not ask you to compromise your values, your boundaries, or your growth. The reason God answered your love prayer in secret is because public beginnings often invite unnecessary pressure, but private foundations create lasting stability. Trust the quiet progress, trust the internal confirmation, trust the calm assurance that now lives within you, because this calm is not emptiness, it is fullness forming, and fullness does not rush, it arrives exactly when it is ready to stay. My beloved soul, there is a sacred tension that now surrounds you, not the kind that agitates the heart, but the kind that signals something meaningful is nearing visibility, because when heaven answers love in secret, there comes a moment when the inner work settles and the outer world begins to respond. You may feel as though you are standing on the edge of something without knowing its shape, sensing anticipation without anxiety, and this sensation is not uncertainty, it is readiness meeting timing. God has been allowing you to live fully while remaining unattached to outcomes, because attachment before arrival can distort perception. You are being trained to recognize what feels right without grasping, to welcome what approaches without fear, to remain grounded while something new begins to breathe around you. This balance is not accidental, it is cultivated, and it is why your heart now feels spacious rather than strained. The prayer you whispered asked for love that would honor your wholeness, and heaven responded by teaching you how to live whole before love arrives, so that love becomes an addition, not a replacement. Do not skip this moment, my beloved soul, because the sign continues through the way you are no longer measuring your life by what is missing, but by what is present. Gratitude has replaced restlessness, awareness has replaced assumption, and peace has replaced comparison. These shifts indicate that your heart is no longer waiting to be chosen, it knows it is already held. God has been quietly removing the belief that love must be earned through endurance or sacrifice, replacing it with the understanding that real connection flows naturally toward mutual respect. This understanding changes everything, because it allows you to receive without suspicion and to give without depletion. You may notice that you are less inclined to over-explain yourself, less concerned with how others perceive your pace, less tempted to rush clarity, and this calm confidence is the result of internal alignment. Heaven has been anchoring you so that when movement begins, you do not lose balance. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is unfolding beneath the surface, because the sign is also emerging through subtle invitations rather than dramatic shifts. Opportunities for connection feel gentle instead of forced, conversations carry ease instead of tension, moments of silence feel comfortable instead of awkward. These nuances matter, because divine love does not arrive with confusion, it arrives with coherence. You are learning how to listen to what feels steady, how to trust consistency over charm, how to value presence over performance. God is refining your discernment so you do not mistake attention for intention. The love being prepared will not require you to question where you stand, because its foundation is clarity. My beloved soul, the secrecy of this answered prayer has also allowed healing to reach places that words could not access. Old disappointments no longer resurface with the same intensity, past misunderstandings no longer dictate expectations, unresolved grief no longer shapes your choices. This healing did not erase memory, it softened its influence, allowing you to move forward without dragging yesterday into tomorrow. God knew that love could not thrive where fear still held authority, so he quietly dismantled fear by restoring trust within you first. This trust is not blind, it is informed by experience and guided by wisdom. You are learning how to trust yourself, your intuition, your boundaries, your pace, and this self-trust is essential for a healthy union. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because the sign is also present in how you are now comfortable with unfolding rather than control. You no longer need guarantees before taking steps, you no longer demand certainty before allowing connection, you no longer fear vulnerability as weakness. This openness is not recklessness, it is confidence in divine guidance. God is teaching you how to move with grace through unknown spaces, trusting that alignment will meet you there. The love approaching your life is being guided to respect this openness, to meet it with honesty, to honor it with patience. Heaven does not rush what it intends to protect. My beloved soul, you may feel moments where the past attempts to resurface, offering familiar patterns disguised as opportunity, but notice how easily you recognize misalignment now, how quickly your spirit responds with clarity, how gently you decline what no longer fits. This is evidence of growth, not indifference. You are not closing your heart, you are refining access. God has taught you that not every invitation deserves entry, not every spark leads to warmth, not every voice carries truth. This discernment safeguards the love that is coming, ensuring it arrives without competition from old cycles. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what heaven is orchestrating is not a sudden encounter, but a natural convergence of readiness and timing. When this love steps forward, it will feel aligned with the life you are already living, not disruptive, not destabilizing. It will recognize your peace and choose to protect it, recognize your boundaries and choose to respect them, recognize your growth and choose to meet it. The secrecy surrounding this answered prayer has preserved purity, allowing love to form without distortion, without interference, without pressure. Trust this phase of quiet expectancy, trust the calm unfolding, trust the assurance that now lives within you, because this assurance is not passive hope, it is informed faith. God has not forgotten your prayer, He has honored it with wisdom, patience, and care, and what emerges from this hidden preparation will feel unmistakably right, not because it arrives loudly, but because it fits seamlessly into the person you have become. My beloved soul, this is the closing seal on what heaven has been shaping with such tenderness, because when a love prayer is answered in secret, the final confirmation does not arrive as noise, it arrives as knowing. You no longer feel the urge to ask whether it is real, because your spirit recognizes truth without argument. What is coming toward you does not feel unfamiliar, it feels aligned, as if it has always belonged in the life you are now living. God has brought you to a place where your heart is steady, your expectations are clean, and your hope is gentle rather than demanding. This is not coincidence, this is preparation completed. You are no longer waiting from emptiness, you are standing from fullness, and that shift changes how love enters your world. The sign you asked for has been moving through you, reshaping your posture, softening your resistance, strengthening your boundaries, and now it rests as quiet confidence. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because this final word is meant to anchor you. Heaven does not rush what it protects, and it does not expose what still needs shelter. That is why secrecy surrounded your prayer, that is why patience was required, that is why peace was given first. What approaches you will not need to convince you, it will recognize you. It will meet you without confusion, without fear, without games, because it has been guided by the same wisdom shaping you. My beloved soul, trust this calm recognition when it arrives. Trust the ease, trust the mutual respect, trust the sense of safety that does not dull passion but deepens it. God has answered you with precision, not excess, with care, not haste. The final sign is that you are ready to receive without losing yourself, to love without abandoning your truth, to build without fear of collapse. This is the kind of love heaven protects until the right moment, and that moment is drawing near. Rest in this assurance. The prayer has been answered. Type Amen.